Okay, hi everybody, and this is our final lesson in our 10th week, and we are going to have 4 more weeks. Okay, and now I would like to talk about Side a little bit. Okay, Side is situated halfway between Antalya and Alanya, and it is not only a popular resort on the Mediterranean coast, but also a magnificently preserved ancient city. And by the way, it's one of my favorites. Yes, I love Side. In ancient times, it flourished in the slave trade, which contributed to the wealth and power of the settlement. Even if you are not beach bunnies, you shouldn't miss out Side, as it located on the ruins from the Hellenistic and Roman times, and it's a huge tourist attraction. And the local museum operating in former Roman baths has many interesting exhibits. You shouldn't miss those, okay? And Side was founded in the 7th century BC by Greek settlers. The patron goddess of the town was Athena, whose head was depicted on the coins minted in Side. However, the Greek origins of Side inhabitants were quickly forgotten, and the descendants of Greek colonists took over the language and customs of the local people. That language, examples of which have been discovered on the inscriptions from the 3rd and 2nd centuries BC, has not yet been understood by researchers. However, it is known that the name of the city meant pomegranate in the local dialect. Interesting, right? Thanks to its favorable location at the natural harbor, Side quickly became one of the most significant settlements in Pamphylia and a trading station of the region. In the 6th century BC, Side came under the rule of Lydia and later Persia, but little is known about this period of history, unfortunately. Well, in 333 BC, Alexander the Great, took control of Side without a fight this time, and before embarking on his great journey to the east, he left a small garrison here. And this way, Side residents came into contact with Hellenistic culture. After Alexander's death, Side fell under the control of Ptolemy I, who declared himself the king of Egypt. The dynasty descended from Ptolemy ruled over Side until the 2nd century BC, when the city was occupied by the Seleucids. Throughout this period, Side maintained a significant degree of independence, and it was an important cultural center of Pamphylia. In 190 BC, a fleet owned by the city-state of Rhodes, supported by Rome and Pergamon, defeated the Seleucid king Antiochus. Under the terms of the peace treaty concluded in Apamea in 188 BC, Pamphylia became a part of the kingdom of Pergamon. However, the actual power of Pergamon reached only as far as Perge, leaving the areas located to the east, including Side, in a state of practical independence. In this period, the Pergamon king, Attulos II, ordered the construction of a new harbor located in Attalia, the present Antalya. Okay, well, in the period from 188 to 67 BC, Side was a free city and minted its own coins. In the 1st century BC, the city became the main naval base of pirates from Cilicia and consequently the center of the slave trade. In 78 BC, the pirates from Side were defeated by the Roman consul Publius Servilius, and in 67 BC, they suffered a final defeat, this time at the hands of General Pompey. it meant a de facto takeover of Side by Rome. In 25 BC, Emperor Augustus reformed the administration, and according to new provisions, Pamphylia and hence Side was incorporated into the Roman province of Galatia. The wealth of the city during this period came not only from the slave trade, but also from the sale of olive oil. The population rose to 60,000, really crowded for that time, and a period of prosperity lasted until the 3rd century AD. The merchant fleet of Side often played a double game: a peaceful merchants and, in favorable circumstances, bloodthirsty pirates. Wealthy traders allocated a significant proportion of their income for the development of the city and its beautification. They sponsored new public buildings, gladiatorial combats and games, and most of the ancient buildings preserved until today in Side date back to this period of history. In the 4th century AD, a gradual decline of the Side began. Even the mighty city walls were not able to stop the invasions of local tribes from the Taurus Mountains. And in the 5th and 6th centuries AD, Side gained respite and even became the seat of the bishop of Eastern Pamphylia. However, in the 7th century, an Arabic fleet attacked Side, and after conquering it, the invaders ransacked and burned most of the city. In the 10th century, the city was almost entirely deserted, and in the 12th century, its remaining residents moved on to Antalya. The memory of the power of Side was gradually forgotten, and the ruins of ancient structures were simply called Old Antalya. After that, under the rule of the Seljuks and the Ottomans, Side was not inhabited. It was only in 1895 that Turkish refugees from Crete settled among its ruins. Over time, their small community grew to the size of the village called Selimiye. And today, Side is a well-known holiday resort. Holidays in Side are particularly recommended to the people who do not care so much for crazy fun until dawn as the lovers of parties and discos choose to stay in Alanya. On the other hand, Side is a place close to ideal for those seeking the respite from everyday life, combined with an opportunity to see some relics from ancient times. In addition, local microclimate is much nicer than the one prevailing in Alanya, as Side is located slightly further away from the Taurus mountain range, resulting in lower air humidity. And for lovers of ancient history, such as me, Side has a great appeal, yes. It retains many relics from the days when the city flourished as a center of trade. The most impressive monuments include the theater from the Roman period, the ruins of 3 temples of Apollo, of Athena and Man, and they are situated in a picturesque area close to the seacoast near the harbor, and the Roman baths, including near the Agora, which now operates as an archaeological museum of Side. This small establishment hides a fascinating collection of ancient statues and sarcophagi. There are other historic buildings situated on a vast area of Side Peninsula. Most noteworthy of them is the commercial agora, where in 2013, the temple of the goddess Tishe, as well as 2 colonnaded streets with the remains of houses behind them, and shops were restored. In addition, in Side, there is a ruined Byzantine hospital and a magnificent nefemium. Nefemium means abidevi antik çeşme demek oluyor. Which was supplied with water from the Taurus Mountains by a system of aqueducts, and monumental gate with the adjoining fountain known as Vespasian Monument. Well, for those who choose to spend some more time wandering about Side, they will also find the ruins of the library from the 2nd century AD, the basilica from the Byzantine period, 2 more baths building, and the temple of Dionysus, it is at the theater, and a necropolis. You will need a whole day to spend on exploring these wonderful remains of ancient times. I highly recommend it. Yes. That's all for Side. And now I would like to talk a little bit of Phaselis, one of my favorites again. My first favorite is Ephesus, then Side, and after that Termissos, and Phaselis is my fourth, okay? Yes. The ancient site of Phaselis lies 58 kilometers south of Antalya on an isthmus. Isthmus is bir yarımadayı karaya bağlayan dar kara parçasına verilen isim arkadaşlar. Isthmus. On an isthmus with 3 pleasant beaches, and Phaselis is set in an attractive pine forest with a national park and surrounded on 3 sides by the sea. Yes, it's a peninsula, yes. Settlers from nearby Rhodes established a colony in 690 BC here. With 3 separate natural harbors, the city soon became a major trading center. Phaselis was incorporated into the Persian Empire in 546 BC and then conquered by the Athenians in 469 BC. In the 4th century BC, Persian rule was re-established and Phaselis was allied with the satrap. Satrap means Pers valisi arkadaşlar. With the satrap Molus from Halikarnassos. In 333 and 334 BC, during his campaign against the Persians, Alexander the Great and his naval fleet, led by his admiral Nerkos, was welcomed at Phaselis, where he remained for the rest of the winter. And after the death of Alexander the Great, Phaselis was ruled in turn from Ptolemaic Egypt, Seleucid Syria, and Rhodes until 160 BC, when it was absorbed in the Cilician Confederacy under Roman domination. Pirates overran Phaselis and nearby Olympos in the 1st century BC until Rome re-established control in 78 BC. During the Roman civil wars, Brutus bullied Phaselis into contributing funds, and when Emperor Hadrian visited the city, Phaselis was adorned with new statues, monuments, and buildings in his honor. Okay, the necropolis is located to the north of the site, extending beyond the well-preserved aqueduct along the shoreline of the northern harbor. Phaselis had 3 natural harbors, as I said. One was the northern harbor, where 2 small islets. Islet means small island. Yani adacık demek oluyor islet. Where 2 small islets were joined to the mainland by a causeway, and the harbor enlarged enough to accommodate an ancient naval base. The second harbor was a small central harbor east of the car park today, which was enclosed with a seawall and could be blocked with an 18-meter long chain between towers. Parts of a pier extended 183 meters from the city walls to protect a third harbor to the south, can still be seen today. A colonnaded paved ancient street ran 225 meters from the central harbor to the Hadrian Gate to the south, lined with 2nd century BC shops and public buildings. The Roman road enters a square-shaped area in the middle and alters direction to conform the topography. Statues once lined the colonnaded street, which also served as a study. On the west side of the main gate street, the ruins of a bath and gymnasium complex still contain mosaic fragments. To the south of the bath complex, west of the street, is the square-shaped Agora of Hadrian, once lined with porticos and shops. Ruins of a late Roman church lie to the west in this agora. Further south and west of the street is the Agora of Domitian, built in 93. Next to the south stands a later period agora connected to the harbor. Okay, this is a beautiful ancient city and one I really would like to go and see again. And one more thing, and near the car park at the aqueduct is a small cafe and tourist shop. And if you want to have something to eat or drink or refresh yourself, you can sit in the cafe. And there are also restaurants and hotel accommodation in nearby Kemer or Çıralı. And that's it for this week's lesson. I will see you at the next week's first lesson. Okay? Bye then. Take good care of yourselves. See you.